Detroit Den 313. Welcome back, Steve. And I think Will is here with me. If you guys aren't sure why Will is trying to look inconspicuous, well, just watch this episode and probably you'll understand. We're going to split the Detroit Lions fan base, I really feel like, today. We have a topic. We're going to talk before we get into Detroit Lions talk. Hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a lot. Will's nervous. People aren't nice to him in the comments, so that's why he's trying to hide his face. But we're going to throw out a scenario. This is entertainment. You come to YouTube, you watch Detroit Lions football content creators for possible scenarios. Not everything is factual. We're throwing something out there today that probably won't be too popular with a lot of people. Call it what you want. It's just, sometimes when you're sitting around the bar, you go out with the boys, you're drinking some beers. If you guys don't talk some football, or maybe you don't throw out some scenarios, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're just shooting the shit. What if? William, let me ask you a question. What if the Detroit Lions trade Jameson Williams on draft day? How would you feel? Is it possible?
Guys, I would like to preface this with I really like Jameson Williams. I really do. I really like Jameson Williams. I think that he is a tremendous talent. But depending on what it would be for, I would definitely listen. So my question is, what are we trading for? What are we trying to receive in return for Jameson Williams?
On draft day, you're probably looking at a draft capital more than likely.
So draft capital, we're talking like, are we getting up in that upper echelon of the draft? Or are we talking?
You're probably looking at like a second or a third round in the 2025 NFL draft. You're not going to get anything immediate. You're not going to see an immediate return for a year, more than likely.
Oh no, yeah. Like if we're looking towards a later draft pick, like a second round pick, then I'm not giving up JMO for that. But I will say, being truthful, if you're telling me I could lump pick 29 and maybe a Jameson Williams and get into a position to where I can go get a Dallas Turner or a Jarrett Verse
in this year's draft,
I'm 100% in.
You are.
I'm 100% in. If you're telling me if I could just swap picks, right, and go to the top half of the draft. So if I'm watching the draft board go, right, and I'm like, man, quarterback, corner goes, Marvin Harrison, Roma Duce, like, man, and we get into like pick 10, 11, or 12, we can swap picks, and I throw in a JMO and maybe, I don't know, even, maybe I get a second or a third rounder with it or whatever, but I'm going to go get my edge rusher for the next decade to play opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson and maybe an extra pick or something. Would I be okay with losing JMO? As we say at the Detroit Den 313, and you may not be in on this one, I would go help him pack his bags.
I'm not in with you.
I would go pack his things. I would deliver him to his next team. And I know that's probably not popular, but I'm not emotional. I'm not an emotional guy. It's about business. And that being said, guys, I love JMO. I'm the guy when he's making plays. I'm the guy screaming, Waymo! Like, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm here for all of the smoke, but I'm not emotional, man. I'm not emotional.
I can't do it, Will. I can't get with you on this one. We started podcasting almost a year ago exactly. In the very beginning of this journey came the JMO suspension for his gambling. Since that day, can't remember when it was. It was after the draft, so it had to have been like early May. I have defended this kid through thick and thin, through the suspension, through the dropped passes, through the firework things on the 4th of July, through him cruising up and down the streets of Detroit while other people, radio networks, are bashing him. I grabbed my shield and my sword and I went to fight for this kid. I can't let him go yet. I can't. I understand, and I have some questions. So with that being said, I will say this. In the draft, I want to keep Jameson Williams, but his production tells me that he's not a number 2 receiver in this league.
I disagree.
2 catches a game on average. Let's just go with that.
But I don't think that that's a JMO thing.
No, it's It's not. It's a Ben Johnson thing, in my opinion. He has the talent. He has the capability. We saw it in the NFC Championship. If you get him the ball, he can make plays.
He's a playmaker.
100%. Probably one of the either him or Jahmyr Gibbs are probably the two best playmakers on offense we have. But if you're not getting him the ball, I have to look at the stats and say his production does not show me what a number 2 receiver in this league has. I think all the talent in the world is there. I think he's more than capable. It's a Ben Johnson problem. We're not on here to talk Ben Johnson and bash him. We know that you need to get him the ball, but just looking at production, it's not there for a number 2 receiver. So I'm not willing to trade him. I'm willing to help him in other ways. And that might be me taking a wide receiver in the first round of this draft.
See, I feel like a wide receiver doesn't help him. I think it's a Ben Johnson and a Jared Goff issue. I think that he oftentimes outruns Jared Goff's arm. And I also think that for whatever reason, he isn't in the progression for Jared Goff in the way that Jared Goff plays the quarterback position. So that may be a fit issue with our team. So if I'm a Kansas City Chief and I'm thinking, man, could I live in a world where my quarterback can throw the ball 1 million yards and J-Mo can get to 1 million yards in the blink of an eye? Would I love to have a guy like that? There's tremendous amounts of teams that would absolutely love to have J-Mo on their team. We were talking off air about it. So I think J-Mo is an absolute weapon. We're not using him properly, but I just don't personally care, and I'm not emotional. What do I mean by that? The cornerback 1 position, the cornerback 1 is a position where if you have a phenomenal game, I've said it before, you touch the ball 8 times. That's phenomenal. You have 8 catches for 100 yards and a tutty. That's a great game. But we're playing a game to where there might have been 60 snaps. So you touch the ball on 8 of those 60 snaps. Can I make up that production somewhere else? I absolutely can. I don't care if you're Justin Jefferson. Right? I can make up that.
Easy.
I'm just saying, I can make a. Teams don't die because of a loss of a receiver if you have a good team. If I'm the Detroit Lions and I still got a Jahmyr Gibbs and I still got a Sam Laporta, right? I can keep this team going if I lose. So we've proven that we can win without J-Mo. So I'm going to get my defense better and maybe get some more draft capital. It's for a guy who's only getting 1 to 2 touches, 3 to 4 targets. That's all I'm losing, but I'm getting a nasty rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson. If you're asking me if I would do that in a heartbeat, I would sleep great. Now, it's absolutely zero shade towards J-Mo. I love J-Mo, but if you're telling me I got Dallas Turner at the other end of Aiden Hutchinson and I can go draft even later in the draft an Xavier Worthy or a Troy Franklin or somebody in the second round that's available to kind of offset that, or I go on the field with an Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Josh Reynolds, a Khalif Raymond, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, but I have Dallas Turner on my team now. Maybe I got another second round pick so I can go get a Rukaroa Roa or a Fisk or, one of these guys extra on top of the guys that I got to help this defense out, a Max Melton. It just makes our team overall better. Now, if you're asking me if I like it, no, I hate it. I love J-Mo. I love him, but this is a business decision. Like, I'm trying to win Super Bowls, not make friends, like, not, die with the guys that I love in Honolulu Blue. So it just boils down to, because if you look at the wide receiver 2, and the NFL has it on their site, guys, you can look it up. But just being around football, I also understand it too. The wide receiver 2 position is even less important, and the wide receiver 3 doesn't darn near matter at all. So
tell that to Josh Reynolds, who's dropping passes in the NFC Championship.
Completely understand. But what I'm saying is those matter less if you're putting that 20-point defense out there. So if you're asking me if I would let J-Mo go, even though I love him, to acquire a piece like a Jarrett Verse or a Dallas Turner, and potentially even more later draft capital, like a second or a third or a fourth rounder, I would do it, and I would sleep phenomenally.
I don't think that you would sleep phenomenally. I'd make damn sure of it. I'd make sure I'd blow your phone up that entire night to disturb your REM cycle, just to spite you. I hear what you're saying. You've made very good points. You made very true points. 2 times touching the ball versus a defensive player who can make more of an impact. I get it. You want to build the team like the 85 Bears, elite defense, outscore your opponent by 1 point. Doesn't matter. I understand. How the Detroit Lions are constructed, whether you like it or not, Jared Goff's your quarterback. He's probably going to be your quarterback for at least the next 3, maybe 4 years. What does Jared Goff need to be successful? He needs 2 things. He needs a dominant offensive line. Check. He needs elite weapons that he can get the ball to. Check. Got to do better to get the ball to Jameson Williams. So how do I make him better? How do I keep him from getting complacent? Well, first of all, you're right. He does need to learn progressions more, because there's some plays where Jameson Williams is doing everything he can, standing in the wide open field, basically waving his arms, yelling for Jared Goff to look at him, and he's not getting him the ball. We have a Jared Goff problem. We have a Ben Johnson problem. Got us to the NFC Championship. So when I say problems, like, we have problems that can be addressed. We have ways to fix things. So Jared Goff needs an offensive line that's dominant. We have that. Playmakers, we have that. If we could add him another playmaker, a Troy Franklin, a Keon Coleman, Xavier Legette, our offense on paper should be absolutely unstoppable. And now we can say, all right, it's 2 or 3 years down the road. Jared Goff's not the quarterback anymore. Maybe we're bringing in a young quarterback from the draft, or maybe it's Hendon Hooker. I don't know. What do they have? A successful keys to the Ferrari, go out, don't wreck the car. Hendon Hooker, arm of a cannon of an arm, similar to Patrick Mahomes, arm strength wise. You would agree? Arm strength wise, at least.
He's got a solid arm. Patrick Mahomes.
All right, here we go.
Patrick Mahomes is 101, man. Like, no shade, but Patrick Mahomes is laying out.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL. It's probably Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Okay. But he's got a very strong arm.
Hendon Hooker, arm strength, huge upgrade from Jared Goff.
Okay, I agree.
So why, in 2 or 3 years, why would I not hand you the keys and say, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got one of the best tight ends in the NFL in Sam Laporta, you've got Jameson Williams, who can run a 4.2, 4.3 40. Maybe I've added a Troy Franklin, who can run a 4.3 40. You've got the best offensive line in football, Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe David Montgomery, depending on what's going on 2 or 3 years from now. We can set this offense up to where any quarterback can come in here and win. Instead of just having 1 or 2 pieces, we have 5 or 6.
I already feel like we have, a bunch of pieces right now. What we're looking at a J-Mo, we're looking at a Josh Reynolds, we're looking at a Amon-Ra St. Brown, we're looking at a Khalif Raymond, we're looking at a Sam Laporta, we're looking at a Jahmyr Gibbs, we're looking at a David Montgomery. We have pieces and weapons everywhere, and we have a phenomenal offensive line. So if you're telling me this offense stops because of one piece, Jameson Williams, it doesn't. This offense is still elite without Jameson Williams. You're telling me that we replaced, like, we get draft equity to be able to replace Jameson Williams with a guy at the back half of this draft, a Xavier Worthy, potentially a guy that I've talked about that we haven't did free agency on, maybe even a Hollywood Brown or somebody that we could go pick up that could play a piece. Listen, I'm not saying that
I'd rather drink out of a toilet than sign Hollywood Brown.
Listen, here's what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that it has to be Hollywood Brown. I'm saying that to speak to the fact that Hollywood Brown is a guy that out there that can make plays. There's receivers out there in the NFL that can play the number 2, number 3 position, that can go out there and make high-level big plays, that can be big play threats to assist with the loss of a Jameson Williams. If we're looking at the production of a Hollywood Brown in season 1, 2, and 3 versus a Jameson Williams, I think that you're going to see Hollywood Brown produce way more. Not that he's a better player. That's not what I'm saying at all, but I'm just saying he's a guy that could produce. That being said, now, if we're losing to Jameson Williams, but we're gaining an edge rusher and draft equity, it's a no-brainer for me. It's a simple thing, because the bottom line is this: how do you help out Jared Goff? By not letting the other team score points. That's another great way to help out Jared Goff. You take all the pressure off of him. You got a solid run game, a phenomenal offensive line, and a defense that doesn't let the guys score points. Jared Goff's job is easy. Go out and score 21 points. That's what I want for him. Hey, listen, go out, get us 21 points. We win football games. The only way that we're going to do that is we make this defense phenomenal. Our offense is already phenomenal. We don't need another quarterback. If we're going to hand the keys to what we have already is a Ferrari. To me, you give Hendon Hooker those keys after Jared Goff, it's already a Ferrari. You re-sign your dudes. You make sure your defense continues to spin into being tough by re-signing guys and keeping fresh talent and continuously getting developed. Now, we're looking at a thing to where maybe we move up, we get a Jared Verse, we have a we sign a corner in free agency, or we go get the corner of need because we got extra draft equity. It's to me, that's the route that I would go. I think, and I could truly see if I'm a different team, as I said, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, and maybe I'm going to sign Justin Fields in the offseason, and then I want to add a Jameson Williams to a Drake London and a Kyle Pitts and a Bijan Robinson. Like, there's teams out there that know that they do their analyzing of talent just like we do. So they know that Jameson Williams is an elite talent. I'm not the only one that understands what he did on the Broncos game on the sideline to that young man was special. Like,
He's still
that
looking
was
for his ankle.
buddy, man. So it's special. I'm not here to tell you that Jameson Williams is not a special elite talent. What I am telling you is that we're not using him the proper way. And there are guys that out there like Andy Reid drooling over him. You think Andy Reid was drooling over Kadarius Toney and what Kadarius Toney could be, and he wouldn't be probably pleasuring himself to the thought of getting Jameson Williams in town? But
Kadarius Toney single-handedly gave the Detroit Lions a win this year.
thank you, Kadarius Toney. So if Andy Reid gets we already know, man, like what he did with Tyreek Hill. But also, even with that being said, he was willing to move on from Tyreek Hill. As the Detroit Lions, we have to make business decisions, not emotional decisions. If the opportunity presents itself to get something that it would really help out our team for a piece, we have to look at that and we have to pull the trigger. Jameson Williams, I love you. I hope that you're a Detroit Lion. I hope that they figure out how to use you. But in the event that we have an opportunity to make this team better, I will help you onto your next job, and I will cheer for you when you're not playing the Detroit Lions.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You've used the Atlanta Falcons as your base for where you would trade JMO. Tell me exactly what you're getting in return in a trade package.
I'm trading. So for me, it's not even necessarily because I would have to really be looking at it. This is just me spitballing. But
So where do the Atlanta Falcons pick?
it doesn't matter where they pick. I'm gonna wrap it up for you because it's not gonna matter where they pick. I'm looking at the draft board and how the draft's going. I got one of my guys on the draft board at that selection. So maybe a team is picking at pick 9, pick 8, pick 10, pick 13. I don't care what it is. My guy Jared Verse is available. My guy Dallas Turner is available. Now I'm swapping my pick 29 with them, and I'm getting something in return. Maybe it's a second rounder, maybe it's a third rounder. I'm looking and I'm saying, hey, we're swapping picks, right? You're moving up, or I'm moving up to go get my guy that is going to change my defense and my belief. Now I got Jared Verse and Aiden Hutchinson at my edges. And now you're also giving me a second round pick, right? And you're going to get Jameson Williams. I couldn't say yes and tell Sheila what we were doing quick enough, right? Because, go ahead.
So you think you're getting a second round pick for Jameson Williams?
It's just me spitballing.
Or a third, or third.
Yeah, it's just me spitballing. I haven't looked at the analytics. This is just us.
So let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
You're getting a better return than what the Tennessee Titans got for AJ Brown when they traded him to the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm
a Pro Bowl caliber receiver versus Jameson Williams, who touches the ball twice a game.
But what we also have to understand about AJ Brown, and AJ Brown absolutely fleeced that trade because AJ Brown was pretending that he was hurt all the time in Tennessee. Remember, AJ Brown?
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, AJ Brown was always banged up. His hamstring was always messed up. He'd come out and be a world beater for a week, and then he'd be down for a couple of weeks, and then he'd come back. And that's not what you've seen out of him in Philly, right? And he made little comments about being injured once he got to Philly. So no shade, but I'm just saying, hey, those are situations too that when Tennessee dealt him, it wasn't really a kumbaya situation. The dude wanted to go somewhere to win. And I've heard that AJ Brown's been in the midst of some of the dissension that's going on in Philly now. So maybe the Tennessee Titans had a understanding of what he was and what was going on, and that's why those things happen. I can't speak to him. While there's value to trades, every situation has their unique circumstances. So I don't know what the true circumstances of that is, but if I would just say the stars have to align, meaning I would have to be swapping picks for a pick that I felt like was of impact. And I would have to be looking at the board saying, hey, I can also get some equity behind this, whether that's a third rounder or a fourth rounder or whatever that looks like. I haven't really delved into.
So you think that just looking at a production value, you think that Jameson Williams would command the same equal value in a trade that a 3-time Pro Bowler wide receiver would get?
So for me, if you're a person that trusts the way that you analyze players, 100%. Because I don't know, I keep mentioning that play in the Denver Broncos game, but or just the reverses and how, or just the touches per touchdown. Those are all special things for JMO. JMO is a special player. I stand on that. I truly believe that. I have faith in my ability to evaluate talent and what I've been around and what I've seen and what I've been taught. So I stand on his elite ability to be able to make people miss and to score touchdowns. If you're asking me, do I think that he has the potential to be of the caliber of an AJ Brown? My answer is yes. I think he has potential to set the league on fire, but he has to have those opportunities to be able to do it in the right situation. I think there's a tremendous amount of guys who come into the NFL and get drafted by teams who aren't a scheme fit for them, and then they fizzle out. And just bringing up a guy like JJ McCarthy, for instance, I think that if JJ McCarthy gets drafted by a team like the Minnesota Vikings and he has to start immediately, he's going to have an absolute terrible career, and everybody's going to say JJ McCarthy wasn't good. But if JJ McCarthy gets drafted by a team like the Detroit Lions, or it doesn't have to be the Lions, it could be any team that has
somewhere where he can sit for a year or two.
Somewhere where he has a veteran. The New York Jets, right? And I don't even know where they pick. I'm just spitballing. But he
Jets
goes
don't
out
have
there.
a first round pick. They gave it to Green Bay.
I'm just spitballing. So he goes and he plays behind Aaron Jones or Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry for.
I lied. Jets are picking 10. I lied.
Okay, but he goes and plays,
which is where JJ could go. Well, let's just keep that in mind. That is a range for JJ.
So that's what I'm saying. So he can go play behind an Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons, and then come in. Like if Jordan Love had to start his first season in the NFL, we'd be talking about how trash he is. But since he got to play behind Aaron Rodgers, learn behind Aaron Rodgers, learn what the league was about, develop and learn how to be a pro, he's having a great career and he's having great success, even though I don't know that he has the same tools that JJ McCarthy has. So we have to learn how to understand the evaluation of talent and teams' confidence in their player personnel talent evaluation. Kids say to them, Jameson Williams is elite. The world just doesn't know it yet. We need to get him on our team. No different than what they did.
So why would we trade him? If he's going to be elite?
Again, explanation being
for a defensive end.
Again, explanation being that we're not using him correctly. He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit what Jared Goff does, and he doesn't fit how Ben Johnson's using him.
So why did we draft him? Why did we move up to draft him?
Because we thought that it was going to be a fit. You're not always going to get it right, is what I'm saying. Would you agree that we're not using him properly?
Yes, but I also
why did we draft him, and why isn't he getting
I also
used
see
properly?
that this past season was really his rookie year. I'm willing to give him more time.
I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm saying is the idea that a number one receiver that gets the ball 8 times and has 100 yards and a tutty is a great game. There's way more than 8 touches that go on in a football game. I can replace those touches with something else. That's all I'm saying.
I'm absolutely not trading JMO. I wouldn't trade him for the number 1 pick. I wouldn't. I agree with one area that you've said today. We have a Jared Goff problem and a Ben Johnson problem, because I listed off all the weapons we could have in the future. If I just list off the weapons we have right now, we already know our offense. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, 2 running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. But who really gets the ball? It's usually St. Brown. Jared, I've given you all of these weapons.
Sam Laporta gets the ball too.
Sam Laporta, yeah. But in the running game, we haven't really seen Jahmyr Gibbs really break out in the passing game yet. I think it will come, but it hasn't happened yet. So if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm looking at you, at Jared Goff, and saying, I've given you all of these weapons. You only use 1.5 of them. You only use Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta sometimes. Sam had some really big games, and Sam had some games where production wasn't there, but he's doing other things well. I'm not knocking Sam Laporta, future All-Pro. Love him. Jersey's hanging up right next to me. You have all these weapons, Jared Goff, and you really only use 1. We have a Jared Goff problem. Whether fans want to admit it or not, what we've said today, we're not trying to change any minds. But if you just look at the Detroit Lions roster, who's the scariest player where other teams are game planning for the most? They're putting up a picture of Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown is an all-pro, in my opinion, very underrated, but there are other people on this team who you could be getting the ball to and making a huge, huge difference in the end. And you talk about giving Amon-Ra St. Brown $25 million. we're not going to go into that full discussion. We've already talked that. If you want to check out that episode, go to our channel, check it out. But you're paying a lot of money to a receiver who gets the ball 8-10 times a game, where we have other weapons that we could take down some of the hits he's taken. If you spread the ball out a little more.
I agree.
Jared Goff, quarterback of the future. Not saying that, but there's room to grow. Let's just leave it at that. So guys, touchy subject. We've talked about Jameson Williams. You guys have talked about him before. I remember at the trade deadline, some people were wanting to trade Jameson Williams to the Carolina Panthers, reunite him with Bryce Young from their Alabama days, and give us Brian Burns. So this trade has been out there for a while. This is not something that we just woke up today and said, hey, let's talk about trading Jameson Williams. We've kind of had this in our back pocket. We've thought about it. Who is the most who carries the most value on this team to be traded at the NFL draft? It's either Jameson Williams or Hendon Hooker, in our opinion. We've talked about both of them, just some what ifs. Keep in mind, you come to YouTube to be entertained and informed. This episode was for entertainment, to get you guys just thinking, what if? That's all we want to put in your head. We're not saying do it. We're not saying make this happen immediately. It's just a what if. Is this possible? Does this hold any value? Could it actually happen?
J-Mo, if you watch this, I love you, man.
Yeah, I love you. I don't know what Will's doing. He's over here trading you for a bag of peanuts, in my opinion. But for a defensive end who hasn't even played in the NFL, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Again, this is another episode. Are you Team Steve or Team Will? Leave it in the comments. Hit that like button. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, hit that subscribe button, guys. Helps us out a lot. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.